Welcome back to the channel. I'm Eric C. Jackson. Today I'm going to go over fine art photography workflow, which is what I do basically after I go out, capture the photos, and then I come back here and I start editing, and then we'll go into what I do to present the work to potential collectors, hopefully to generate some interest in the work. So what I'm going to go into first is, let's see. I've got Adobe Bridge open. Hold on, let me move my windows around. Okay. Because I want to work off the Asus monitor, which I've shared with you guys before. The Asus ProArt is what I use. There's different versions of it, but especially for the price point, I do like the monitor. But when I'm going off of brightness, trying to judge brightness of my work, then I use the iPad Pro. So yeah, we're gonna go to New York because I know that there was one in particular. This one was okay. Let me change the layout. All right, that's better. This one was okay, but I think this is good. That's kind of leaning too far back. I think that composition's better. And that's, it's slanted a little bit too much to the right. So yeah, generally when I'm out photographing, this is the One World Trade Center in New York. So this was 2019 when I visited, so we weren't on lockdown yet. And I had never been there before. I had never seen it before. And I didn't realize that I couldn't fit the entire building in the camera, in the frame. So I was having trouble just trying to get my composition the way I wanted it. And then this looks very busy. So obviously I took several photographs of it, several captures of it. There was a lot of construction around as well, so I wanted to leave all that out. But as I'm looking at my LCD, my little monitor on the camera, I'm noticing that the composition just doesn't look right. And because I'm capturing this at 35 millimeter, so you have that aberration, like everything's slanted because of the curves of the lens, of the camera lens. So everything's not straight up and down vertical. So that part I didn't like. So I think I went across the street and started capturing some more angles from there. Yeah, and that's the base of it. I mean, I've never seen something like so wide and so tall at the same time. So it was the most challenging, in terms of architecture, the most challenging I've ever had to capture. So let me see if yeah, so that's just a photo of myself. And then I wanted to leave because there's quite a few buildings around it as well as the construction. So I really wanted to single it out. So that's more so like the top quarter of it. And that composition just doesn't look right. Now this started looking the way that I want it to be. But then I think there's a reflection of the building next to it right here. And then there's another building over here that's kind of peeking through. And so I decided to go in a little bit tighter just to cut those out. So I don't know, I'm thinking I like this composition over here instead of this one. That's what I'm thinking. Because if I put all these side by side, so this is 90, 77, 79, and 80 in terms of the file numbers. And I think I like the one in the middle the best. Just because of the angle. I think the sky is in there pretty well. But yeah, I think the angle of the building is the best in that middle shot. So that's why I tagged it blue. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to duplicate it just in case I tweak something in here that I can't put back. But anyway, now obviously I've already started on some editing in this one, but let me see. That's the original. Hold on, my camera is out. Alright, so I'm going to have to turn the camera off because I don't know it stopped. Let me see if I can reload it. Nope, I can't. Alright, sorry about that. But, okay, so what I'm going to do is just show you guys where I was. So lighting, that's pretty much where it started, right? And then you combine that with, I guess I can go Adobe Standard. So yeah, that's the original. And it has that blue tint to it because I'm probably not in the right white balance. So I'm going to go back to monochrome. And obviously you can fix that in post, but white balance here, as shot. You can go auto and daylight. It was supposed to be there. but I actually think the original is fine. But yeah, even if you have a black and white, let me see if this is working. Oh, it's still not on. So even if you have a black and white, the color is still affected. You can still affect the image with color, because every color has like a different tone to it. So there's that. The optics. Yeah, so you see you have the little bit of shadow or darker color coming in the edges. So you definitely want to take that out. All right. And let's see. Let's go ahead and open this up. And of course, I'm going to open it up as a smart object. Yeah, my computer is sluggish right now. I don't think I have anything extra open, but let me close this and let me empty. Yeah, this is probably what it is. I've got too much in the recycle. If you have too much in your recycle bin when you're on the Mac, it will chew into your memory. So that might be a reason my camera wouldn't work for the stream. So let me try that again. See if I can get it back now. There we are. Yeah, so I had too much in the recycle bin because I was going through all my photography, like a lot of different folders, and I'm throwing stuff in the recycle bin. It's still on your hard drive. It doesn't delete it off the hard drive just because it's in the recycle bin, which is why you can restore it. So in order to actually recover all that space on your hard drive, you're going to have to delete the files in the recycle bin. So that's what happened. And let me just get a little bit more soup because I'm trying to fight off my code. Yes, I've been feeling not terrible, but not right the past week or so. So I'm really trying to not to get really sick. Okay, so we are in Photoshop. I want to try the portrait edits that we went over last week. I want to try to incorporate the high pass filter onto this image and see what it does, because I think that it'll increase the sharpness on the edges and just make the scene pop a little bit more. So let me pull up my notes. All right. Let's see. So we got convert. I thought I'd be able to zoom in, but I can't. All right, convert to smart filter, image, adjustments, invert, layers, vivid. I'm not sure if that part's going to work. And then we got filter, other high pass, 20.8. And then the Gaussian blur, I can probably apply that to the sky. And that's at 3.7. All right, so I'm gonna try this now. This particular edit, like we did last week, is for darker skin tones, but I think in principle some of that sharpness can still work for this particular capture. Okay, so we went ahead, copied the layer, and then we're gonna go. It's already a smart field or a smart object. Image adjustments, invert. There we go. All right, so we got the layers panel. Drop down. Hold on, let me make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right, so that's my original layer. Smart object. Copied it as a smart object. Applied the filter on there, which is just the invert. So you can turn that on and off, which is why we want to always use smart filters, because it's not really a permanent edit, but you're going to see what the adjustment does without actually doing anything to the original. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, so layers, drop down to vivid. There we go. And what else? What else? We got filter. Come all the way down to other, and then here is high pass. Yeah, I see how it's popping. 20.8. That's fine. And obviously it's really heavy right now, but we're going to decrease it. All right, so we're going to go back to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. This one's going to be 3.7, which we can adjust later on, but for right now it's 3.7. Okay, so now we go to the photocopy layer. We're going to add on a mask. There's your layer mask. And then we're going to go, while the mask is selected, you go image, adjustments, and invert. So it turned it off. All right, then we're going to go brush tool, which is over here. or you can press the letter B. The letter B is a shortcut. And we're basically gonna paint on the you know what though? I wonder if I want to separate the Gaussian blur and the high pass. I don't know. Let's see. I'm not sure yet. And let's see. So the brush opacity goes to 100%. Okay. Hardness is at 0. So there's a hardness up here. That's at 0. And then we're using a soft round, the soft round brush. Okay, and then make sure that the color swatch over here is on white. So I think I want to, let me see how this goes. And we're just painting on the effect with the brush. And anytime you're painting, make sure you're on the mask of that layer and not the actual photo. But if you're on the photo and you start painting, it's gonna paint a solid white because you're painting on the actual photograph instead of on the mask that's over it. So you'll know right away. Instead of painting on the high pass and the Gaussian blur effect, you'll just be painting black or white, like a solid black or white over the photograph. So yeah, just Control or Command Z to back out of that if you end up making that mistake. All right. And yes, I like to use the brush to do this without using the pen tool to select everything, because I don't want the edges of the building to look hard. So I use soft edges on the brush, so it's like a gradual transition from the building to the sky. I really don't want any hard edges, so I just get as close to the edge as I can with the brush. And then the effects will fade off into the sky. And obviously that's not how everybody does it, but for me that's how I've done it. Now I'm going to go back up to the top to make sure I brush that part as well. But I'm going to make sure all this is covered first. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in, use my brackets to make the brush smaller so I can still paint some of that high pass effect onto the spire just a little bit. Okay. Oops. Yeah, that spot that's right there, I'm gonna get rid of that with the healing brush tool. I saw another spot closer to the top as well. So it's either dust or dirt on my camera sensor. Okay, so let me do the other side. Yeah, you can tell it's brightening up the edges. But I don't want the building to look like it was stamped on, which is why I want the natural fall off from the brush with the soft edges on it. Okay, let's take a look. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. All right. So obviously it looks fuzzy. All right, so we're going to adjust the blur. Let's see. Let's try the 6.8. Yeah, too soft. Because see, if you go way up with the radius, it's going to look really sharp. You come down, it's going to soften it a little bit. So it's like, how soft do you want that texture to be? Let's come right in here. Yeah, let's go 33. Yeah, I'm thinking that I want to. I'm thinking I want to put the sky, maybe make it a little bit brighter. Okay, let me see how I can separate this part. Because I know I can go original, or do I want to go here? Can I put on two? That part I don't know. All right, so now this one, I don't think I can do that. Yeah, because it's linked. Never mind. Nope, that's not going to work either. Well, basically, I would like to invert it, you know, for sure. All right, so let me see what I can do here. Let's go healing, spot healing. Nope, not gonna do that. I'm gonna make another layer, and then I'm going to turn on sample all layers, and that'll still take it away. Right about there. Okay, so even though this layer that I just made is completely blank, as long as you have sample all layers, content aware, that'll still work. Here's another spot that can go away. I'll just check everything. Yeah, because you see how rough the sky looks? I want to smooth it out a little bit more. And that's gone. Okay. looks good. Okay, so now on this layer, can I have another mask? No, I'm just looking at my directions here. All right. No. I really don't need to invert it. Let's just go filter and let's see, Gaussian blur. I'm gonna take it down to 3.7 so it's more pronounced. Oh, never mind. Hold on. Go back. This is a... Okay. So turned it in, went filter, convert for smart filter, and then blur, Gaussian. But there's no image. So that's not going to work. I would probably... Sorry about that. I'll probably have to make a copy. Which would be the only way I can do it. And then add another layer of Gaussian blur to the sky. Okay, so I'm on layer 1. And then the shortcut for me is Command Option Shift, the letter E. Okay. And then I make... Well, actually, first I would have to turn it into Smart Filter. And then go Filter Blur, Gaussian Blur. There we go. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. So let me... I'm just looking at the sky right now. Maybe right in here. Yeah, I'll go more pronounced. $61.9. All right, so I think I was supposed to put this on a can I just invert it and paint it back on? Yep, there we go. I'm gonna go brush, filter, well, on the filter mask, that bigger. Okay, there we go. I don't want to get too close to the building because it's going to be heavy. That's what I was looking for. Before, after, before, after. Yep, better. Better, 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 better. Alright, so now I gotta be really careful. And paint on more. Whoa. I'm gonna be careful with that. Yeah, I can't get that close. Yeah, because then I'll end up with a halo. Yep, can't get that close. So let me switch to off. Switch the color swatch to black. And make sure this is off. Because I don't want the extra blur on the building. Yeah, see how it's starting to get darker down here. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to avoid that part. Yeah, that's too much. Also, what I'm going to do to help it out is not have the blur up so high. See how much I can take it down. Yeah, because I can see it at this point. All right. Now I can bring it down. Yep, that's better. What did I take it down to? 19. That's better. All right. So let me grab my notes back. And let me see here if there's anything else. Yeah, so because I wanted to split the building and the sky in terms of how much Gaussian blur I used, I had to do the high pass Gaussian combination first, combine those into a new layer, make another smart filter over Gaussian blur, and just paint that over the sky. And then you just do your adjustments there in terms of how much blur you need to apply. Because if you go too high with that Gaussian blur, as you saw, you start picking up all kinds of shadow and color and everything from the building. So You definitely have to use it in moderation. All right. So I'm not sure if I need to add anything else with this one. Let's see, curves. Oh, it's doing the opposite. Wow. No. Yeah, it gets too bright for me. I don't want the building to seem like it starts to get blown out with the detail. And let me see. Oh, combined with that, we have to go. It should be luminosity again, right? No, it won't let me. It's not up. Yeah, I like the darker version. Let me try. Let's see. So here's the highlights. Or midtones, which are a lot. Yeah, it's too loud to me. Let me think. All right, so let's say we're gonna do this right here, right? But I would go levels, mask, image adjustments, invert to turn it off. But let's say that I paint the highlights up. So I'll go back to the brush tool, color swatches on white. We bring up highlights. Okay, so before, after. Yeah, it is way bright. Alright, let me make this larger. That's before, after. Yeah, because when I lighten up the building, to me it starts blending too much with the sky. And I want there to be a clear separation between the two. Let's see, let me try something here. Take the opacity down. Okay, sorry about that. 17%. Make the brush bigger. And try painting that on now. Yeah, maybe in certain... Nope. That was the wrong one. There we go. I was on the wrong layer. Yeah, nope. That still doesn't work. Okay. All right, now the only other thing I need to test on here, since those other adjustments did not work, is the taking this back into Camera Raw and using the color mixer panel, detail panel, and color grading. And like I said before, you'll see that yes, it's a black and white, but there's still color tone in it. So when you change or shift color tone, it's gonna shift the black and white photograph. So really, I'm looking around because I've really have 3 monitors now. I figured out how to enable the iPad Pro on here, so I don't have to use the cloud anymore to transfer the files. You can link your iPad through Bluetooth to your Mac Mini and just use it as a third screen. So I'm really happy about that. It's just that now when I'm moving my mouse, I can move it too far very easily. So I have to look for it. Okay. All right. So we're back in Photoshop. The top layer, we're gonna merge it again for the second time, really. So Command Option Shift plus E. And there we go. filter, convert for smart filter. And then we can open it up, filter again, and camera raw filter. Excuse me. The building looks a little bit soft to me. Hold on. Okay. It does. The building looks a little soft. So I will... Well, there's a few ways to do it. There's sharpening. You can add texture back to it under effects. Hold on, let me see. Maybe. Okay, so I like the building, not the sky's getting too sharp for me. Noise reduction. We'll actually soften everything with the noise reduction. And then you have your details default at 50, so that'll stay. So I'm trying to balance between softness and then having the sky not to be so like jagged with the clouds. All right. Do I want to do anything with the light? No. That looks better. Hold on, before, after. See, that's that separation I was talking about. The building from the sky. But I don't want to lose too much texture in the clouds. Shadows is too high. White, too bright. Blacks, I don't want to go down too much. And that's too high, so that's fine. So yeah, with the highlights, try to find a happy mix. All right, so that's at 58. See, because then the sky becomes gray. And then in front of that, you have a gray building, right? So I definitely want to have, I don't know if I want it to be flat white though. It's not bad, but it seems a little detached from reality, and I don't want that either. Yeah, I think that's a good mixture because it's still got some texture from the clouds. But it's still light down here where the building really stands out. And this curve panel is really tricky, which I haven't gotten used to. Yeah, that's too high. think the lighting's going to be okay. I keep trying different ways to change it to see what it does, but I think that's fine. Okay, so we got a color mixer is actually the black and white mixer. Then we got grading. Let's see, we've got, I need you to move. Luminance. Those are shadows. It's lightening it again. Yeah, that's too much now. So I think that okay, so these are the midtones. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I found a sweet spot with the highlights. And that's all that I want to do with this. What else is there? Oh, last one that I can test out here. Lens blur. No. If you have like a layered image where you have a clear foreground, middle ground, background, then the lens blur can probably work really well. But if your subject is basically just the foreground and then the sky is really blank, then you really don't need to blur it at all unless it's something that's really distracting in the background. All right, so the last one's calibration, and there is no color. Version 6, okay. So yeah, and then click OK. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I just kicked the highlights up a little bit more. Well, quite a bit more actually. So now the building just pops out more. That's what I wanted to do. All right, so that's it. I use the guides that I find as a foundation, but there's nothing like a hard, fast rule that you have to put these particular numbers in because each photograph is different. So as long as you understand what that particular adjustment does, then if you want that effect, you can apply it. But if it doesn't look right, then of course you don't have to use it. So I feel like this is done. The last thing I want to do is sign it. Excuse me. Okay. here with system settings. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is show you guys how to bring your iPad over. So once you go to system settings on your Apple, your Mac, you would go to displays. And so I've got my Samsung over here, the Asus, which I'm working on with Photoshop. And then you have the little plus symbol over here. So you would click on that. And I would come, because I see it right here. This it's already linked, but I want to incorporate it into the other two monitors. So I click on the iPad, and there it is. So obviously you can rearrange your monitors however you want them. Okay. Let me take the keyboard off. All right. So yeah, when you link it correctly, your iPad's gonna change. I wonder, can I go directly to it from here? Let me see. No, I can't. That's a bummer. All right. Anyway. I need to sign this. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to drag Photoshop over to my iPad. So in order for you guys to see it, I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't show it directly. So here we go. It's over here. And then obviously Apple Pencil. I'll go ahead and sign it. Alright, so I need to add another layer on it for my signature, which is obviously going to be the top part of this. And let me go ahead and write this out. The window isn't resizing automatically, so it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's completely off. So let me see if I can do this right. It's supposed to automatically do this, but it's not. Yeah, it's giving me a hard time. Alright, so let's see if this can work now. Nope. Let's go 7. I don't know about that one. Let me try this again. Okay. Yeah, I was expecting it to snap over, and it did not. So there's supposed to be an outline that pops up so this can snap in place, but it's not showing. There it is. That's what I wanted it to do. Alright. So I guess when I move it over to the iPad, I push this up to the top for the outline to show. Alright, let me see if that works. Yep, that's what it is. So you push it up towards the navigation bar, and then the little outline will show up, and then it'll fill the window correctly. Alright. There we go. And I had to take the brush down to 7 pixels, 7 points. But yeah, I made its own layer on layer 4, so I will put signature. So that's the only thing that's on that layer. And then Command 0. It's crooked. So Command T. Kind of bend this over a little bit. About there looks good. I don't know if I want to make it smaller. Well, hold on. Let me go ahead and let me do this. So I'm going to click on the signature thumbnail. And I believe the next step is Command D. Okay. So right click. Where is it? Alright, so not the thumbnail. Signature. Command D. Where is that selection? There it is. It's not the Command D anymore. There's no shortcut for this anymore. It's weird. Anyway, you're going to see select pixels when you right click the icon. So there's a little ants going around there. Yeah, they moved it or changed it or something. But anyway, let's see. Selecting the navigation menu, modify, and I want to contract it. Just 1 pixel is enough because the signature is not that thick. But say OK, and then add a layer to it. So there's before, there's after. So I just wanted the signature to be thinner. There's before, and there's after. I used to change the opacity to it, but that's not a good idea because when it prints out, sometimes I see the signature, sometimes I didn't. So I left the opacity at 100 on this layer, and just let me show you guys this again. We'll move my camera out of the way. But anyway, you go to signature layer, you right click on the thumbnail, and then there's select pixels right there. Right. So then once you do that, pixel selected, you go to select in the navigation bar. You come down to modify. You go to contract if you want the lines to be thinner. You go to expand if you want the lines to be thicker. But I usually go contract, and I just pick 1 pixel. And then once you click OK with that, you add on your layers mask over it. And once you click the layers mask, then it's going to thin it out for you. basically taking away that extra pixel or how much you're contracting it. So there's that. Yeah, I like it. If I'm looking at it from further away, does it still look right? The signature too big, too small? Not, are the lines too thin on the signature? That sort of thing. Because before signature was like that, which was really thick. So I don't want a signature to necessarily jump out at people that much, but I do want them to see it's there. But yeah, not to where your eye goes straight to it because it's so bright, like it's drawing too much attention to itself. That works. Now, what I'm gonna name it, I don't know. In terms of a title, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna save Command Shift S. And let me see. I tag all of my Photoshop files with purple, so I know where everything is when I open up a folder. And it's going to the wrong folder. I don't like when it does this. It's supposed to go to the right folder automatically from wherever you pull it from, but I keep catching it that it doesn't do like it's supposed to anymore. This is from March 8th, 2019 folder. Okay. There it is. Yeah. So instead of going through all that, it was supposed to remember where it pulled it from. And wait till this little blue bar down here goes away, because then you'll know when it's finished saving. There it is. All right. That wasn't too bad. And let me see. The next thing is create a small file for the website, social media, then create a print file for the photo lab and whatever orders that may come in for it. And like I said, I don't know what I'm gonna name this yet, but I'll just go ahead and do that. So I'll go small file first. Command Option I, the letter I. and take off the resample, change 300 to 72. I hate when I do that. Yeah, my keys on the pad are linked to OBS, and so I have to use the other ones. Let's see. So anyway, change the resolution to 72 for the small file. Turn the resample back on, right? Because let me do that again. Command Shift, the letter I. Wait, Command Option, the letter I. Okay. Resample goes off. 300 goes to 72. Turn resample back on. I change inches to pixels, and on the longest side I usually have 2100 is fine. This drop down is on automatic, and okay. So there's my small file. Command Shift S, the letter S, and then save a copy, which is over here. Change the tab to yellow for me. That's how I know it's a small JPEG. And let me see. Title, I'll put SM for small. And it opened in the right folder this time, so there we go. Save. Make sure the quality is at 12. Large file over here. Alrighty. So now I'll come to the history panel up here and go back one step. So now we're back to this is the, let me move this up a little bit. This is the, I guess the native file size. It's a little bit bigger by 12. It's a little bit bigger than a 12-inch by 18-inch print. So most of the time, well, all the time really, small file, and then if I really like it, I'll make a print file of it. So for the print file, it is Command Option, the letter I. Obviously, you keep the resolution at 300. You would change pixels if it's on pixels. Change it to inches. Inches. Hold on, do I need to? Here we go. So you have to turn resample off. And then turn it back on. And then you would say, instead of automatic, you would have to preserve. So it says preserve details, enlargement. I usually reduce noise by 100% because you're expanding the pixels. If I don't do any heavy edits on a photograph, then I'll expand it into a large file through Camera Raw, since you're still working with a digital negative. But once you pull it into Photoshop, you are working with, the photograph. But it is helpful to leave it converted as a smart object or a smart filter. The width is going to be 40 inches. So 40 inches. And let me see. Yeah, so the height's going to be 60 inches or 5 feet. So like I said, make sure that you're preserving the details. Make sure that the file is a smart object. Yeah. And use the reduce noise is helpful. And just click OK. And then it's kind of work its magic. All right, let's have a look at this. I don't see any spots. It looks good. All right, so Command Shift the letter S. And I actually have a really good CPU and graphics card, but the memory on here is only 8 gigabytes. And so sometimes when I'm in Photoshop, I'm just chewing up too much memory. Okay. So again, I'm going to save a copy. And for my print files, I usually tag them green. And I send them a JPEG. What's the cap on my file size? I think my cap is 100 gigabytes, something like that. In terms of what the photo lab will accept, like how big of a file they'll accept. But some files, especially when you blow them up or enlarge them to a 40 by 60 inch, they can get well over 100 gigabytes. And then especially if you save them as a TIFF. So I usually keep the file size down. Yeah, but for black and whites, it's not that much of a problem. For color photography, you have to look at that because sometimes, most of the time, you'll have a limit on how big of a file you can send them in terms of file size to your printer. And then for the name, let's see. Signature print. And like I said, tag it green. And there is actually the save button over here. So yeah, if you want to save as a TIFF, especially if you're working in black and white, then you can definitely do that as long as the Photo Lab accepts the TIFF format. But yeah, for me, even if I did use a TIFF, I wouldn't keep it on my hard drive because it just uses up too much space. So okay, so it's at 12. And again, just look down here in the corner at the blue bar as it progresses, and then once it disappears, you'll know it's saved. The file is saved. There we go. So once it's gone through, I can double check it. Okay, so now we're in Adobe Bridge. This is my small file, so that's yellow. That's a signature file, gonna make it green. This is Photoshop file, that's gonna be purple once I'm gonna close it and then change the label to purple. And then the blue is gonna stay blue because that's a raw file. So all my raw files are labeled in that light blue color. What else? Am I missing something? I don't think so. Okay. How big was that file anyway? $37.16 megabytes. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I said gigabytes before, didn't I? So I would say one of my larger files would be like 88 megabytes, something like that. And then my printer probably takes 100 max megabytes per file. Yeah. So print file is there, small, Photoshop, and the raw file. All right, so now you can go, this can go back one step in the history panel. So it's back to normal size, and I can close it. And don't save, it's fine. Yeah, because I already saved it at the 12 by 18 original size earlier. So once I make it smaller and then I enlarge it, save those two, but the original 12 by 18 is already saved. I saved it before all of that. So I went ahead and closed it. So now I can close this. And let me see what else. Okay, so here's the Photoshop file, label, and there is no shortcut for purple, but for everything else, like Command 6, 7, 8, 9 for the other colors, but for purple, they don't have a shortcut for it. So yeah, all of my Photoshop files are purple. And I've just been sticking with this color labeling system for years, well over 10 years. So I'm just used to it. It helps me keep everything organized. So now, how I set this up is this is the folder. It's still March 8th, but these are everything that's done, right? And then stuff that's in these two folders are either extra photos I have and there are potential photographs that I can possibly drag into this area. But yeah, so what I'm actually done with something, I will pick up all the files, and I think that's all of them, and drag them over into the main one. So now there they are. And sometimes it'll be vice versa. Like it'll be a file that I think is finished and then I don't want it anymore. So I'll drag it back into this folder. But yeah. Yeah, I would drag it back in here. So this is just labeled to 2019-0308. But then the folder that it's in is actually the date is spelled out, March 8th, 2019. So that's just how I separate everything. What else is there? Yeah, so I think that's it. Now, if you are in the Finder folder, do I have the Finder folder up? No, I don't. Let me go to this folder and show you guys. (2019) Okay, so you see the XMP files. That is where all your edits are. So you can have your original file, whatever it looks like, but any changes that you make to it are saved into the XMP file. If you accidentally delete the XMP file, then that's going to erase all of your edits that are saved on it. So please don't do that. You don't have to do it all over again. Make your edits all over again. But this is for Camera Raw. So anything that you change in Camera Raw, it'll save them in the XMP file. Now, Photoshop, on the other hand, obviously saves all your edits within that Photoshop file, which is why they're so big. So especially if you enlarge the file in Photoshop and you save it as a Photoshop file, then your file, the Photoshop file, can get, over a gigabyte for sure. But yeah. Let me see. Okay. And see that's the original. Let me move my camera out of the way. Somewhere in there. So in the Finder folder, the XMP file is always separate, but if you go into Adobe Bridge, it just merges them automatically. So you don't see the separate XMP file in Adobe Bridge, but like I say, when you open the Finder, you'll see it. But yeah, that's where I originally started. And that's where I ended up. So yeah, I mean, I always tell, especially beginning photographers, like not to be disappointed if you just bought this really expensive camera and your photographs look like this when you open them up. This is normal. So yeah, it's normal. So you really have to get used to editing your work. And as you guys have seen through this session, I'm still learning certain things because more times than not, I just edit the simple stuff in Adobe Camera Raw, and that's it. I don't do anything very heavy in terms of editing in Photoshop, but I'm learning more stuff like the high pass, how to incorporate Gaussian blur. But there are so many other options that I'm still going on YouTube and learning from photographers who use a lot of Photoshop all the time in terms of editing. So I'm just learning as much as I can from them in terms of, as long as it takes me in the direction where I want to go with a certain capture, then I'll try to incorporate it. But yeah, it looks good. I like it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close Bridge and take some pressure off of my computer memory. Oh yeah, there's a lot. So like I have, hold on, I've got all this stuff down here to look at. I might want to add it, or maybe not. There's a lot. There's a lot of images, scenes. So there's way more. And then I still have that one. I'm not sure about that one. I'm on the fence because the composition it's not terrible, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I can apply the same edits and then see how it looks. And there's more clouds in terms of texture in here. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I would say let me go ahead and take my third monitor away. So with this, I will turn it off. There we go. And I can close system settings. Okay. So this has gone on a lot longer than I thought. It took me a lot longer to edit. edit the photograph than I thought, so I'm probably going to split this one up into two parts. And this part will just be for the editing part of it. And then part two will be, I'll show you guys the marketing side of this, where I take the small file and start trying to figure out what type of interior space it would look good in. But yeah, that's going to be on the next one. So I will be back with that. But oh boy, so you guys can tell me, I do apologize because I was like trying to figure things out how I wanted to edit as I was going on during the process. So it wasn't as clear in terms of if you guys were following my directions. So I'm going to try to improve on that part of it. And yeah, but I think overall the finished image looked the way I wanted it to look. So any comments you guys have, just leave them below. Critiques, feedback, all that type stuff. Just leave that below and I'll read over everyone's feedback. So that's all I have for now. And like I said, I'll be back for the marketing side of it and how to present the work. And we're going to be working on the same image for that part as well. So you guys take care.